How's it going, everyone? This is Race for Survival at race4survival.com. It's Monday, September 14th, 2015. This is my second part for my news report today. Check out the first one, and pretty good articles in there. We're just going to continue here. We left off with this article. Prominent former Auschwitz inmate warns Europe about what they're doing right now and the repercussions, followed by this article right here. Basically a pro-invasion or pro-refugee group bashing the far right because they don't want to basically see their country changed as their own country, their own leaders said, right? Merkel saying that it's going to change it forever. Even this former, there's a Jew that was in Auschwitz. He said what? That this is going to change Europe forever. It's going to change the whole continent. And these people, these idiots, are just ushering it in because they're so afraid of being called what they're accusing these other people of xenophobia, of hatred, of racism, the most evil stuff, right? So they just push this garbage up to number one to make it seem like there's a consensus, collective consensus that everybody is on board with this when they're not. A Hungarian Catholic bishop tells the Pope he's wrong. Says not refugees, but invaders. And this is actually part of the article from the Washington Post. It says Pope Francis's message Sunday couldn't have been clearer. With hundreds of thousands of refugees flowing into Europe, Catholics across the continent had a moral duty to help by opening their churches, monasteries, and homes as sanctuaries. On Monday, the church's spiritual leader for southern Hungary, some of the heaviest migrant flows anywhere in Europe, had a message just as clear. His Holiness is wrong, saying that they're not refugees, this is an invasion, whose dominion stretches across the southern reaches of this predominantly Catholic nation. Says they come here with cries of Allahu Akbar, and they want to take over. So it's good positive news that we're seeing, which is more leaders are coming out and speaking, speak in their mind without fear of being, ostracized. 4,000 refugees in one day. I couldn't believe this when I saw that number. But when you see the pictures of them storming, the train station, you can believe it. Live from Hungary, it's Saturday night. 4,000. So it says more than 4,000 people walked across the border with Serbia just as authorities in Hungary were completing preparations to seal the frontier. That Hungary has been criticized for how it deals with those crossing its border. Is it the hero newswoman who kicked and tripped some of these invaders because their own government can't handle it? No, it's just because they're not letting more in faster. So 4,000. Hungary being compared to Nazis for protecting their border from Islamic invasion. Austrian Chancellor Werner Faymann compared the Hungarian Prime Minister's treatment of migrants to Nazi-era cruelty. On Sunday, piling refugees on trains in the hopes that they go far away brings back memories of the darkest period of our continent. I don't think it was the darkest period of the continent because it had anything to do with Jews. It had to do with millions upon millions of white Europeans who died for wars that could have been completely avoided had the Jews not invoked the war. That's the darkest period, is that the Europeans fought each other and a lot died, basically for nothing. It wasn't for nothing. It was for Jewish control of Europe and the United States and other nations as well. Got the United Nations, they got Israel, and you got the anti-Semitic card. You can't ever say anything about them ever again. Oh, Hungary is a bunch of Nazis. Moving on to France, French municipalities sued for racism because it wanted only Christian refugees. They're not the only ones. I think it was Bulgaria that said that they would only allow, or Serbia or Slovakia would only allow Christian refugees because it seems like only Sunni Muslims are being allowed to go into Europe and basically ignoring Christians. It's like I said before, I'm not even Christian, but you can at least see the disproportionate amount of Muslims going in. So they filed a complaint against the Municipal Council for incitement to racial hatred and discrimination. In it, the municipality of this place said on Tuesday evening that it was ready to welcome refugees on the express condition that it is a Christian family because Christians don't decapitate their boss. A heroic French mayor is fighting back against the illegal migration. Robert Bernard, the mayor in southern France, making headlines again. It says here, you are not welcome in this town. You came into this apartment, breaking the door, stealing the water. People have to pay for this water, but you are just stealing water and electricity. It is not allowed in this town to just come into an apartment and to live in it without permission. So I say again, you are not welcome in this town. If you have behaved like a decent person, you would have been. You might be welcome acting like this in big cities, but I'm not ready to do that here. You act like we have no choice but to accept you. He was told as one illegal immigrant squatter. It's badass. He was accompanied by armed police and a translator going door to door in a block of apartments where illegal immigrants have broken in and are now squatting. He came under fire for counting the number of non-French children in his town. By counting the surnames, he found 64% of the children in his town were Muslim. Doing that, he was placed under investigation by the police. Apparently, it's common policy in South Africa as well that if you leave your home and go on vacation or something, it's fair game, basically. You get those black Africans and they'll come and just squat, take it over, and the legal system actually helps them. So the longer they stay, the more likely they are to get your house. And then in Eastern Europe, protesters are telling migrants to go home. Said in Poland, 5,000 people were chanting anti-Islamic slogans. Said Islam will be the death of Europe. Says that we are here so that the government hears our voice and abandons any plans to welcome Muslims. They chanted Poles against migrants and migrants today, terrorists tomorrow. More news on that. Another quote, no more immigrants, we've had enough. And there's an article posted on the OccidentalObserver.net, really good website, check out. This one, immigrant flood unleashes moral status competition, emotional incontinence, and hypocrisy. But the main thing is moral status competition. That's like in these different countries acting like I could be the better do-gooder. No, I can. Like Sweden, the best example for that. They don't even have enough homes for these people, and yet they're going to continue to lead the way to let them in. And even I saw the interview of an actual migrant or refugee saying that this is crazy, man. How did they do this? He was saying that in Arabic. Then you see the other interview with, I think it was one of those Gulf state leaders saying that we don't allow them in there. We're not going to allow these refugees into our countries, mostly because they're not us. They're not like us. Lastly, you have this quote by Alain de Benoit, a French New Right philosopher, saying, the migratory tsunami we are witnessing is adding up to a disaster. And that's another more positive news. The more they continue this insanity, the more the wheels are going to come off. And, nationalist groups or any group that really just looks out for the sovereignty of whoever nation they are is going to get more support. Austria, Slovakia, and Netherlands introduced border controls to deal with foreign invasion. The Czech Republic boosts controls on Austria border over migrants. They said Sunday will boost controls on the border with Austria over the refugee crisis. The Czech Prime Minister said the EU was not able to thoroughly observe its own rules when handling the migrant crisis and efficiently protect the outer border of the Schengen area, so now it's necessary to take operational steps to boost the security of individual countries and contain the inflow of refugees. Austria deploys troops to deal with foreign invasion. Then in Denmark, they suspended rail links with Germany after police stopped hundreds of foreign invaders at the border. And we have, even as Europeans hand their countries over, Jews roll out the Nazi memes against them. So here you go, there's the propaganda blitz. They're comparing this. It was horrifying when I saw those images of police putting numbers on people's arms, said the chief rabbi of Hungary. It reminded me of Auschwitz, and then putting people on a train with armed guards to take them to a camp where they are closed in. Of course, there are echoes of the Holocaust. Not since the Jews were rounded up by Nazi Germany have there been as many images coming out of Europe of people locked in the trains, babies handed over barbed wire, men in military gear, herding large crowds of bedraggled men, women, and children. Wow, I can't believe this just blatant distortion of reality right here. And at the same time, the images may reveal a deeper truth about Europe and its unpreparedness. While extolling the virtues of human rights and humanism, it remains in many parts a place resistant to immigration and diversity. So see, it's never enough, right? Like those numbers. It's not enough to take in 65,000. You got to make it 70,000 in the United States. Syrian refugees. No, let's just make it 100,000. No, that's not going to be enough. We need more than 100,000, they said. So, some of these countries actually taking action and shutting the borders and getting these damn invaders out of there, that conjures up horrible, dark images for the Jews of being rounded up in camps. So, check out this website, Diversity Mocked Frey, really good website. They're putting out some pretty good articles. Here you go. A Czech politician says to put migrants in former German concentration camp. So, police in the Czech Republic are investigating comments made on Facebook by an extremist politician calling for refugees to be placed in the former Nazi concentration camp. So, he was reacting to the establishment of a refugee camp near the country's border with Slovakia. Bartos, that's the guy's name, Adam Bartos, part of the National Democracy Party. Why build tent camps for the aliens? We have the beautiful fortress town of Terezin, where the aliens could concentrate before they're taken home by trains. According to the news, the police will probe whether or not the comments constitute a criminal act. According to Czech law, hate speech and comments inciting national, racial, religious hatred can carry penalties of up to 3 years in prison. Like that news reporter for tripping and kicking some of the invaders is going to get 5 years in prison. So it makes you wonder, is all this really happening, whether it's in the United States, with the demographic shifts and all that in Europe, what's going on? Is all this really just based off guilt and threats by Jews to do this, and it really doesn't have to do anything with leftism and humanitarianism? Maybe they're just a very small fringe themselves. The majority of people don't want this, but they're too scared to say anything because Jews have basically locked down the legal system, create laws to protect them, have the media so that it portrays them as victims all the time and whites as evil. It may just be as simple as that. You have Governor Walker feeding off populist sentiment here in the United States. We don't need more Syrian refugees. We need to deal with ISIS. A governor says in Georgia, no thanks to Syrians, Georgia has enough refugees. That was Governor Nathan Deals. He says, we will be welcoming, but we want to make sure that we're not taking a disproportionately large share of them compared to other parts of the country. Sound familiar? Like Europe? So it's kind of interesting. The Atlanta mayor was saying the same thing, but typically they're one of the region's most forceful advocates of a welcoming policy to immigrants and refugees. He said they needed more time to evaluate the city's position. So a lot of flip-flopping going on here by these leaders. Trump reverses himself on Syrian refugee question. He says that we have too many problems of our own. Trump said he would take 2 years to deport millions of undocumented immigrants. And I like his opponent, Ben Carson's comment, just real lackadaisical, saying, that's just, what are we going to do with all these people? It would cost way more money to just, to get them out of here than to just leave them here. And I'm like, seriously? Do you really believe that, buddy? I don't really follow elections ever, really, but, certain things I do follow, and the fact that Trump's getting a lot of support. You hear stuff like, he might be assassinated by Jews. He's talking about race. He doesn't give a shit. He's funding his own campaign. I'm gonna, keep an eye on him, basically, to see what's going on there. Mostly because I don't trust him, but Republicans fear Donald Trump is hardening the party's tone on race. I'm sure they are. Mostly because they're full of neocons and Jews at the top. And the magazine Salon, or online website Salon, said Donald Trump's call of the wild is beyond racism and nativism. He's playing to embattled tribal identity of white America. And this is what he says. Trump represents something else. Call it the call of the wild. The allure of that long era of cruelty and brutality that preceded recorded history and human civilization, when the weak were ruled by the strong and little or no justification was required to inflict terror and violence on our perceived enemies. That statement says a lot right there about egalitarianism or equality and that type of nonsense. Let's not forget, too, that it was actually white Europeans that helped create most of the civilized worlds or civilizations that we know today. But he's going to blame the fact that people are wink-wink supporting Trump because subconsciously they're all racist. So he's right. Yeah, it is tribal. We are a tribe, and in America we see what's happening to our nation, to our people. And he basically says that Trump's tapping into something in white America, which is we're not having our voices voiced by our leaders. Thank you.